okay. That was okay. I'm an energy guy. So let me try that again. How y'all doing? Yeah. All right, that sounds like Donald Trump is the president. I can dig it. So, as David was kind, and thank you for that introduction, David. I really appreciate it. I wear a couple of different hats, okay? As I'm sure most of you are used to wearing a few different hats. And my favorite hat to wear is that of husband. So my wife couldn't be with us today, but I know she's going to see a video. So I shouted you out. You can't say I didn't shout you out. But with that said, I also serve with the Frederick Douglass Foundation as our Field Operations Director. And I want to talk a little bit about what we're doing with the Frederick Douglass Foundation. Now, part of what I'm going to say to you all may be a little uncomfortable, and purposefully so, because if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. If you're in that comfort zone, you're not really making any motion. So I'm going to tell each and every one of you who have been a Republican for any length of time that you have done a horrible job at reaching out to minority communities. You've done a terrible job. And I know you mean well. I know you do. But here's the thing. Every time I've been out in the last year and a half, and I've been in low-income communities, well-to-do communities, people share our values as conservatives. You wouldn't be surprised. But let me give you a little backdrop. So my mom, 13 years old, had my twin brother and I. Crack epidemic hit New York City. She got caught up in it. At 6 months old, they took my brother and I away from my mom and put us in the New York State Department of Social Services system. It's as horrible as it sounds when you put New York on the front of it. It's terrible. What I want to share with you is that going through being separated from my identical twin brother, separated from my sister, there were little bits of glimmers of hope throughout that journey. And I come to realize an interesting dynamic as a young person whose freckles are this close together, is that most of the bad ideas, if not all of the bad ideas, came from people who look like me. Most of the people, if not all of the people, who told me I would never amount to anything, look like me. Most of the people who told me that the world is your oyster, if you work hard and you can succeed, look like a lot of y'all. Which was an interesting dynamic because on one side, I've got to stick to the black group, which no one has defined for me yet. If Kamala Harris is in the black group, where the hell am I at? I don't even know what you gotta do to be in the black group. I don't even know what that's about. But this dynamic here that I'm supposed to believe, after hundreds of years of slavery, after Jim Crow, I'm supposed to believe that after back-to-back black president, back-to-back secretaries of state, back-to-back mayors, police chiefs, congressmen, all of these black people serving in leadership positions in our country, Kamala Harris, I'm supposed to believe that our country is more racist in 2020 than it was when Clarence sat at that lunch counter in 1960. That's what the left wants me to believe. That's what they want you to believe. So here's the problem, folks. To go back to my point, you guys get a bad job reaching out. And I'll tell you part of the reason why the Frederick Douglass Foundation is the means and the mechanism to help fix some of the problems we have here. And I want to do this in a little bit of a comparative form before I talk about our outreach initiatives. So you've got Black Lives Matter on the left, which stands for lawlessness. The Frederick Douglass Foundation is about supporting our law enforcement. We're about supporting the rule of law. We're about peaceful protest. You have Black Lives Matter that literally walks into communities and destroys them. So somebody's going to have to help me understand how tearing down a black business shows me that Black Lives Matter. I can't quite figure that one out. Black Lives Matter is about spreading division and dissension. The Frederick Douglass Foundation is about unity and empowerment. That's a huge difference. We value at the Frederick Douglass Foundation the nuclear family. Now, I want to show you all something, because another side of what we do is we support school choice. Part of our outreach messaging, as David mentioned, is our Think Before You Vote campaign. And Shamika Michelle, who was kind enough to join us at the rally in Pinehurst, wasn't able to get here with us today. but I want to show you all what we're doing on the social media front to educate minority voters in relation to the issues that affect them. The first video we're going to show you real quick is about Shamika Michelle's prison reform, and we'll click on that one and show you guys this one first. What it's going to do is equip you guys to see how you as Republicans and the policies you've advocated for have benefited black communities. First Step Act, anybody? Donald Trump passed the First Step Act. Who does that help, if not the black community, with this disproportionate incarceration? The second video that we're boosting on YouTube right now revolves around the idea of school choice. Now you're asking me, why do we got this pretty black lady with that beautiful head of hair up there talking? Well, the reason is because black females, unfortunately, are the majority of our heads of household. 70% of our black babies are being born into single mother households. So who else should we send the messaging to? It may be on now, try it now. Minority voters, passively. Notice she didn't say, vote Republican. Notice she didn't say, it's a conservative issue. No, the First Step Act passed, and it benefits minority students. We can turn that down. Turn the game down. There we go. We're not gonna show that other one. If black people were a country, we'd be the 13th richest country in the world. So I need you all to take ownership. Congressman Bishop, Senator McGinnis, I need y'all to take ownership of the successes that you've supported for black folks. And what does that look like? That looks like the First Step Act. That looks like in the state Senate, in the state House, you guys passing financial literacy so our kids know how to write a daggone check when they get out of high school. Who does that benefit if not us? This partnership that we've got with the Faith and Freedom Coalition, this mission that the Frederick Douglass Foundation has, is not just about black people. It's not just about minorities per se. It's about saving the very foundations of our country. Now, David hit on something before I sit down and bring Jason up here. He hit on something important. Black Lives Matter, and Bishop Wooden said it, they're not about the black family. I am what they despise. A married black conservative who refuses to wear a whole suit. They can't stand it. So let me help you for a moment. Don't be scared. The first thing I'm gonna tell you, don't be scared. When you're around talking to your black friends, don't be scared to take ownership of what has done well for us, okay? Second thing is, and I can say this, I'm not speaking for all black people, but I know a lot of us, we like our politicians to tell us straight up and down what it is. So don't feel like you've got to bite your tongue if you're a congressman or a state senator or a state legislator. Don't feel like you've got to bite your tongue and placate the black audience. We don't like that. Third thing I'm going to tell you to do is don't be scared to have a damn conversation. You will not melt if you talk to somebody and disagree with them. A lot of times you're gonna get to this cognitive dissonance point. Like right now I've got black females, I don't know how, defending Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. I'm just asking because they got a cross on. So y'all are cool with the Democrats removing God? Well, no, you're cool with the fact she locked up all those black men? Well, they committed, no. So you're cool with the fact of the 1994 crime bill? You're cool with the fact Joe Biden lied about his college education? You're cool with the fact that the man is holding hands with the KKK guy? You're cool with the idea that he thinks I'm black, so therefore I don't think differently than any other black person. If I was in another environment, I would call two letters, B and S, okay? So, please support what we're doing with the Frederick Douglass Foundation. And I promise the last thing I'm going to tell you is this. This is not just about 2020, what we're doing. This is not just about 2020. We have to grow the Republican Party. I am tired, for one reason, of being the only black guy and stuff. I'm just tired. I know I got a couple of brothers in here with me, but it's still like us three. It's a weird ratio, and I'm tired of it. That's the first side of it. But the second side of it is this. I am not standing here without the Republican Party. Clarence ain't sitting there without the Republican Party. I'm not opening my tow business. I'm not running the urban conservative. I am not disliking Barack Obama as the president. I am not disliking Kamala Harris without the Republican Party. And y'all cannot forget, I was on a radio show in Charlotte, on Patrick Cannon's radio show, and the guy said, you can't tell me that the Republican Party of the 1800s is the same Republican Party as today. I said, like hell I can. The values haven't changed. From 1800 to now, how many people in this room still believe government should be small? I do. How many people in this room think that you should be able to worship as you see fit? Works for me. How many people think it is the content of your character and not the color of your skin? So yes, we are that same Republican Party that freed the slaves, that gave women the right to vote, that support individual responsibility, accountability, and liberty, and you cannot forget that. Just because somebody's freckles are closed, don't mean they don't deserve to hear that message. So please support what we're doing with the Frederick Douglass Foundation. I'm going to bring my good friend Jason up with the Faith and Freedom Coalition to talk a little bit about our partnership, and I appreciate your time, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.